Brother Bear, the movie that held so much potential and so much ambition. A movie that had the financial backing of the Disney gods. It's a story about a boy turned into a bear and must embark on an adventure of danger and heroism. They can't go wrong here.
No, come on, don't!
Now you could argue that on one hand, this movie doesn't need to be criticised. It's a short, sweet and simple animated film that is full of charm and humour, mostly directed at children. Yeah, I could agree with you on that, and most of Disney's money would have gone into making Finding Nemo, which is one of the biggest and best known animated films in the world. But I personally hold a lot of nostalgia for animated films in this era, and I have good memories of the animation, the music and the atmosphere. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie, mainly because it's not shown anywhere on TV or streaming. You see Finding Nemo stuff everywhere today, but not Brother Bear, even though they were released in the same year and I remember the two from my childhood with equal sentiment. But back then I thought every movie was just as good as the next. It only took until now for me to realise that maybe Alvin and the Chipmunks Chipwrecked isn't the masterpiece and the perfect conclusion to a flawless trilogy that I initially valued it at. I was cautiously excited to rewatch Brother Bear and see how it held up. The music and spiritual energy of the film is what really attached me to the story and why I still remember it today. No way are they surviving that. Are you telling me that every one of these reindeer managed to jump over their kayaks without tripping or leaving the brothers injured? Well, I haven't seen them compete at the Olympics yet. I have to say the animation is really striking here. The mountains, the trees and the waterfall make for a perfect backdrop, as does the song by Tina Turner, which goes great with the picturesque scenery. And now we're back to something illogical happening. That would surely result in someone's death. Wait a minute, is this what they call foreshadowing? That's pretty dark from Disney. Oh, he's definitely a dead man here. Killer whales are extremely dangerous creatures. This is going off topic, but I used to think the verb killer was added to their name to sound cool. But after seeing what they've done to great white sharks in South Africa, I'm surprised Kenai wasn't washed up on shore as a half-eaten corpse. Now, I don't have a particularly wide set of knowledge when it comes to history or anything else really, but after spending countless minutes of mildly adequate research, the movie does a lot to portray the spiritual beliefs and customs in Inuit culture as accurately as possible. Shamans are essentially the religious leaders and healers of their tribes. In Inuit mythology, they are seen as people with supernatural abilities, much like the shaman who transforms Kenai into a bear. But the rest can only be portrayed with guesses, since the story is set at least 20-something thousand years ago.
Of our ancestors.
I did say they had to guess about the historical accuracy in some areas. I didn't realise that humans were 15 feet tall, otherwise how could they have possibly reached that high up? The nerve on this guy to aggravate a bear. I feel as though this scene is too quick. Kenai is clearly angry that his totem is the bear of love. When he realises that it's a bear that's taken the tribe's salmon, they should have slowed the pacing down and see the resentment boil inside of him. That way we could really get a feel of Kenai's hatred towards the creature. Yeah, I'm no doctor, but he's definitely broken his legs or his back here. There's no way he's going to be able to get up. Never mind.
Sitka.
I know this is an emotional scene, but I feel they could have had one more big scene to get to know Sitka's relationship just a little bit better and would make his death more impactful. During Sitka's funeral, Kenai and Denahi conflict about taking revenge. Kenai feels strongly about killing the bear for justice, but Denahi fears this could upset the spirits. Although it was just a small scene, for me it strengthened their relationship as brothers. A scene earlier on between Sitka and Kenai was quite similar in how they talked about the totems having true meaning or whether they were just nonsense. Were great segments of conflict that I really enjoyed from this movie. There is no way he survived being squashed under that bear. A female grizzly can weigh up to 400 pounds, which is still a lot lighter than the heaviest human in the world. The whole sequence of Kenai reacting to his transformation is a beautiful piece of animation. The spirits dancing in the sky showcasing the souls of the animals integrated with that mesmerising tribal music was truly breathtaking. But when they show Sitka's spirit, I'll admit I got quite emotional. To be honest, I didn't really have much of a problem with the first 25 minutes of the movie. I was just starting to get invested. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Disappointed!
So Kenai is now a bear and must embark on a journey where the lights touch the mountains to make amends for his wrongs. But what would this journey entail? What would he learn that would make him into a man? Would it be a journey of mysticism and enlightenment, or one of charm and love, or both?
Head down, head down. Oh, gee, I think he's seen us, eh? Now what? Act like we're not here.
Or none of the above. Now it's beginning to make sense why this movie isn't as well loved. The comedy feels solely directed towards children. They may have changed the aspect ratio, but they also changed an entertaining family film to a children's farce. I know they're being voiced by Canadian actors, but they really went too far with the A's and the foreshores. The tone of the story just completely changed. I get that you need to have some comedy relief to ease the heavy themes, but sometimes all you need is a little bit of natural charm in the side characters for that to work, instead of this crap. Alright, so we're introduced to the young bear named Koda. He's annoying and he really turns his story into a giant bore fest. The story is too reliant on his comedic antics which don't work for me, neither did I find it entertaining. When the story cuts back to a vengeful Denahi in pursuit of the bear who presumed had killed Kenai, when in fact it was Kenai, was a far more engaging narrative. And then it cuts back to Koda doing something childish which you'll either find cute or just tiring.
Oh, geez, after us!
I'm down for some moose hunting. It's not quite the same as elk hunting, and there's no Trevor to take control, but how different can it be? So we got to see our second song in the movie, On My Way by Phil Collins. The song is the only good part of this sequence. We see Kenai gradually warm up to Koda and begins to enjoy himself. That was quite fast, honestly. They interact with other animals, and none of them are afraid of the bears. I don't understand why these animated movies think that all animals just talk to one another and be friendly. From my understanding, besides humans, bears and saber-toothed tigers were top of the food chain in North America. They're talking and interacting with their food. Or maybe they're just toying with their food before eating them, and Disney secretly have an uncut version of this that only the producer has in his basement, which he watches every night. No, I'm getting off track. Disney don't hire crazy people. So Kenai riding that mammoth came to fruition. Classic storytelling 101. Chekhov's gun. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I believe is the correct quote. Yeah, that sequence felt rushed when looking at the friendship between Kenai and Koda. It was only just 1 minute before that Kenai was fed up with him. This is no different to Plankton and SpongeBob becoming friends through their song.
I feel all tingly inside. Should we stop?
No, that's how you're supposed to feel.
What's your mother's name?
Sitka?
Did he just say mother instead of brother? Am I the only one who's hearing that right?
I spy something green. Tree? Oh.
Okay, and we're back to this shtick again. I hate how the music just trolls me with their obnoxious brass instruments. This scene just effectively wastes time to make it longer. The writers really didn't have much in mind to make this a feature-length film. Maybe they would have had better success if it was a short film. That way we wouldn't have to watch these trite jokes blasted at us every 5 minutes. Kenai sees the cave paintings of the human attacking a bear, which is an interesting perspective and could have been explored more. You could have felt shame and embarrassment in the way he acted towards the bears in this human form. But we don't really go deep into these emotions, which is ironic since a key theme in Brother Bear is about finding yourself spiritually. Maybe to add some depth to the bear of love, Kenai and Koda accidentally come across a human child. The child does not fear them and plays with the bears before the child's parents arrives and attacks the bears. This would demonstrate both fear and love, and could be a turning point in Kenai's attachment towards bears and nature in general. So the two must cross a perilous lava field to reach the mountain, even though the mountain is nowhere to be seen in sight. What could have been a dangerous and entertaining scene ended up with silly jokes and another appearance from Denahi, which just became very repetitive. It was not surprising that he would show up, especially at a time when the story was losing steam. The writers had to think, how do we make this exciting? But there was an emotional weight to show here when Denahi attempted to jump on the other side of the cliff. When this movie tackles the spiritual and emotional themes, it works really well, but it feels overshadowed by the obnoxious comedy. Anyway, they managed to make it to the salmon run. Kenai, feeling rather awkward around these other bears, decides to leave, but is held back by the power of song to persuade his mind once more.
Welcome to our family time.
Yeah, this place just doesn't exist. They're making things up now. Alaska has plenty of dazzling landscapes to pick from and you choose this? It looks nice, but this and the lava field are a bit much. The song is the least catchiest, which makes it even more difficult to persist with the movie. Usually musical sequences progress the story by the characters actually singing and opening up their true feelings. But here it's just a montage of bears having fun and being happy. You could have had the giant bear sing about the bears and family. Also, this is near the climax of the film. A scene like this would work better near the beginning, not the damn end. Jesus, am I in a fever dream or has this just turned into some psychotic horror movie? Look at how they just throw and use the salmon in the most sadistic way. This movie talks a lot about respecting nature, but fish and insects never make the cut. While the bears tell their weird stories with trite jokes, Koda tells his story about how his mother was attacked by humans and fell off a glacier to her death, and Kenai quickly realizes that it was him who killed Koda's mother. There were quite a few hints throughout the film to solve the puzzle, but it finally meant that the story was going somewhere. We spent way too much time gallivanting into an abyss of uninspired comedy that washed over a heartwarming tale of brotherhood. I know that this is a Disney movie that is primarily aimed at a universal audience, but Kenai confessing to Coda while a song was playing felt like a cop-out way of not going too dark and serious. But that's the thing. The serious parts of the movie are the best components. They didn't need to play a song here. It felt like a poor lesson on how to face reality through tough times. There is no song or montage. You have to face it as it is. And it's a bit hypocritical of the writers not to be serious and emotional when you've already shown a man murder a bear, which is a pretty dark thing to show to a child in the first place. When the eagle shows up to lead Denahi to his destination, the brief moment ignited a spark of spiritual energy that the movie needed. I felt like a survival coming-of-age movie in the middle of Alaska's tundra would have made for a great story connecting with nature and the deceased.
A pile of delicious barley and amberweed on a cool bed of malted hops.
Oh, this is how you change your mind. Because of these two knuckleheads, you knew the writers felt pressured to wrap this movie up, so they had to think of something from the spot. This cub just lost his mother at the hands of a bear he thought was on his side. This is the type of thing you would see in a serial killer story. But no, two dumb moose are enough to say, hey, maybe he's not that bad. Yep, these two are definitely done for. Ah yes, of course, plot armor saved them. I mean the snow... Sorry, Lord Disney. I misspoke. I didn't mean to... Okay, so while the climax is happening at an incredibly fast pace that actually feels rather anticlimactic, that tear-wrenching music started playing when the brothers all reunited, as did Coda with her mother. As emotional as that scene was, I thought it would have been far more satisfying if the story took a different direction, starting with the tone. Not every Disney animated movie needs to have goofy and clunky humour in order to appease to the children. Look at Bambi, it's still considered a classic Disney film in spite of having very depressing and heartbreaking scenes. It's alright to have comedy in Disney films, but like I said before, the humour has to be instinctively tied to the character's personality. Timing and setup is everything. Look at the Disney films that were successful with humour around the same time as Brother Bear. The humour in Finding Nemo worked because the side characters they meet on the journey, who have peculiar and eccentric personalities, but also play a crucial role for the main characters to grow. In Brother Bear, you had the two moose who provided nothing and were a complete waste from a comedic and emotional perspective. The bears at the salmon run also had no purpose in this story apart from taking up my time. What came as a surprise to learn was that Joaquin Phoenix voiced Kenai, and that completely changed my perception on the character.
About yourself and your voice and
Absolutely nothing.
Yep. Came out cold. And besides enjoying themselves...
So overall, the movie is quite a big miss. It could have been an incredibly successful film by Disney that would end up as a classic. I still hold a lot of nostalgia for this movie because of the folk music and themes of love and brotherhood, but this is unfortunately explored with scarce detail. Most of the story is quite dull and difficult to get by, which is saying a lot considering the short length of the movie.